During times of uncertainty, the greatest fortunes are made. And so the issue is to understand how to turn that fear into focus, into fuel.
I like that.
And into faith. And so taking action. The old adage, buy low, sell high. Most people, when fear is involved, they buy high and sell low. So it's something that's, because of that fear, it triggers action in the wrong direction. And so certainly I would recommend reading Outwitting the Devil, which is all about controlling your fear and understanding how to overcome that fear.
Hey, welcome back to the Profit First REI podcast. I have interviewed Sharon Lechter before, and I am super excited because she's someone that has changed my life personally through her works in the financial literacy arena, from Rich Dad Poor Dad to what she's written, Outwitting and putting and together Outwitting the Devil, and all these other books that she has now contributed to or written herself. Sharon, thanks for being back on the podcast.
Oh, thank you, David. I'm always happy to be with you.
Yeah, and I believe that our messages are so in alignment because you're teaching financial literacy out there. And as what we're doing for businesses, like we're making sure that they know their numbers, that they have the profitability in their business to do what they really want to do and like have financial freedom. And I know that is a core message. So I really wanted to ask, what drew you to the financial literacy world and wanting to help people on this side?
Well, David, I grew up in a household where my parents talked about money at dinner. We talked about assets and cash flow. And when I got out into the real world as one of the very first female CPAs, I realized how few people understood money. And as a public accountant, I learned how businesses succeeded. And more importantly, I think I learned how they failed. And it was the lack of understanding. And when you look at your profit, it's one thing. If the profit's not where you want it to be, it's usually something else is going wrong inside your business. It could be the people, it could be the processes, it could be your proprietary. So you really have to understand how a business operates. And so I really loved helping businesses turn themselves around. But it was when my own son went off to college and got into credit card debt that really shocked me. I was upset with him, but I was more upset with myself because I had taught him the same lessons I had learned. But he got to college and they offered credit cards at tables, free pizza, free money, free t-shirt, free money. And so he had a really good time his first semester in college. But then the piper came and he realized he was in credit card debt. And so that was December of 1992. And that's when I dedicated the rest of my career to financial education and financial literacy. And I'm as passionate about it today as I was back then.
I was going to say, you have not slowed down on that train where you're out there and you're sharing that. We're a part of groups together, and I see that your passion and your help for that side and for this industry. And that is so interesting. I did not know that, and that it was something personal like that catapulted to that side. And I'm sure today he's grateful maybe that it went on and that you were able to help him through that time. But now it's also started a movement like where you're out there and you're helping people in a very broad scale, and lots of families have been helped through what you've done. So I did want to ask then, how should a business owner, either should they start when their kids are young? Like, how do they approach teaching financial responsibility to their families? Maybe they haven't been taught, or like, where's a good place to start for them?
Well, it's just talking about money. I tell parents, be a mentor, not an enabler. Too many of us want our kids to have what we didn't have, and so we give them everything. And we want to be good parents, so we help them. And what happens is when you help them, you disable them or mentor them, allow them to make mistakes and learn from them. Allow them to set a goal. So one of the biggest things most of us have is this negative mindset around money, scarcity. Our parents said money doesn't grow on trees, pinch your pennies, save for a rainy day. All those things are negative. So we hear money negative, money negative. Are we doing the same thing to our children? How many of us have said, I can't afford it? That's negative. It shuts your mind. And so I teach people about we can control three things: our thoughts, our words, our actions. So you need to think about your thoughts around money, your words around money, and your actions, particularly with your children. Instead of saying, Johnny, Mary, we can't afford it, say, how can you afford it? And your kids can become very creative. They all get very creative about how they want to earn money, and allow them to set a goal let them earn the money as long as it's legal, right? And let them buy what they wanted, what their goal is, because celebrate with them. But the greatest gift you have is you're going to see their self-confidence grow. And once a child knows how they can make money on their own, there's no stopping them. But we need to be mentors, not enablers, when it comes to our kids, and talk to them about money. When you're at a fast food store, say, the owner's not here. It's run by a bunch of teenagers, because it's a business that operates on systems, and they train these kids to run them. And then talk about that the one company provides the styrofoam box your burger comes in, and another company supplies the straw. Just talking about it, making them aware of the business systems around them.
Yeah, no, I really like that. And what you just said, very simply, just start talking to them about it. Where a lot of us have that scarcity mindset and we're just scared usually to talk about it, or, like it's personal or it's private, it's emotional, all those things that come up, or the bad habits we were taught. I love that. Just start to talk about it, have good conversations. I love what you said. Helping is disabling versus setting goals and helping them, which is in that manner, which is enabling and helping them to really and empowering them to get to where they want to be on their own. I've seen that in my own daughter. She's 8 years old and she's doing a business fair. She's done it for the last few years. Thankfully, her school encourages this, and it's a great school. So they do this every year, and it's like I see her as she's getting older and older, like it's clicking more and more of like, oh, I have to make these things and then sell them. And then this is how much I've spent, and I have to make a profit. Like I have to pay mom and dad back for some of the things that they bought, and I've got to do this. And how much am I really going to have to buy this thing that I want over here? And it's really those connections when you see that in real life. So I love that. Just start talking and start to help that and helping them. And a lot of people are stuck on the financial side because they weren't taught, and that's where I believe you have a lot of great education about this. And you were even talking to me about your ATM. Like, why don't we go down that road a little bit and talk about what you have for people who might not have had financial education in their background?
Well, first, let me just share that for the kids, we do have what we call a biz kit that helps a young person start their own business, and they understand how to, all the components of starting a business. And you go through this workbook. There's 7 sections, and when you're finished, there's a page on the end of each section. When you pull it out, they've actually written a business plan, and it can be for a teenager, a young adult, or even a young child, because there's a mentoring book in there, so mom and dad can help a small child. So that biscuit really helps them understand how to build a business. And then I also have ThriveTime for teens, which helps kids understand that every decision they make, whether it's how they spend their money or their time, drives them to success or not. Yeah. And so it teaches responsibility. It teaches understanding that when you make a mistake, there are consequences. And it's with play money. So they're both incredibly useful tools, particularly for parents who don't know where to start on their own. And then, when COVID hit, there was so much negativity in the world. And David, when I get mad about something, I start another company. So I said, we need to counterbalance all this negativity. So I started this daily broadcast of positivity. It's called ATM, kind of a take on ATM bank where you go get money. Well, this is an ATM abundance tips and mentorship from Sharon. So getting your daily deposit of positive mindset. Because again, we can control our thoughts, our words, our actions. Well, our thoughts are controlled by our subconscious. And so let's put in positivity in our subconscious. Let's feed it daily positive thoughts so that we can continue thinking positive thoughts, speaking positive words, taking positive actions. And so I've done over 2,000 messages, and it's something that I absolutely love. People love it. It keeps them, they say, I look forward to every morning listening to your message. And it's something you can go to atm.sharonlechter.com to find out about. Or my website. ATM, abundance tips and mentorship, atm.sharonlechter.com.
SharonLechter.com. So that's awesome. So that's something where it sounds like it's good positivity, motivation, but it's also helpful. It's the tips and the mentorship as well to be like, okay, these are some of the topics that you might be able to talk with your family for the week or for the day if something really resonates with you. And I love those
Yes,
types of things. I get,
sometimes my message is about a single word, the
nice.
definition, and how to apply it. Sometimes it's a question. So it's always something that you can take to the dinner table as
Yeah.
well.
Awesome. Also, shout out to the Biz Kit for kids because we have that here and we've gone through that several times. Like every time the business fair is out here, it's like getting that out and walking through these questions. So I highly recommend that. Is there a place they can find the Biz Kit for kids if they are interested in getting that for them?
Absolutely, David. Thank you. And thank you for that testimonial. Yes, you go to SharonLechter.com under our financial products and you'll find that.
Awesome. So that's where it is, SharonLechter.com to find the business kit for children. Mine came with a board game too. Do all of them come with a board game or like was that something as well? Because like that's awesome as well too. So then you actually get to use that game to be able to help teach as well.
Absolutely. ThriveTime for teens. You can also find that on SharonLechter.com.
Awesome. So there's where you can get the stuff where if you have children or teenagers and they're especially if they're listening to podcasts like this or if they know Sharon Lechter or like they're very interested, this is such a great place to start. And honestly, especially if you have teenagers, getting them started on the ATM, on the abundance tips and the mentorship from someone who has poured her life into not only just financial literacy, but helping with the mindset around it as well. With Sharon, I do have to ask you right now. I've had lots of calls with our current clients, and it seems like there is the scarcity mindset out there right now, that there's just this general fear, anxiety. And what would you give some tips to entrepreneurs that are uncertain of the future, who don't know, like, am I going to be able to make it through this time? Like, do you have any words of wisdom for them?
Sure. And that, during times of uncertainty, the greatest fortunes are made. And so the issue is to understand how to turn that fear into focus, into fuel,
I like that.
and into faith. And so taking action. The old adage, buy low, sell high. Most people, when fear is involved, they buy high and sell low. So it's
Yeah.
something that's because that fear triggers action in the wrong direction. And so certainly I would recommend reading Outwitting the Devil, which is all about controlling your fear and understanding how to overcome that fear. And it's really understanding your purpose, learning from adversity, all right, controlling your environment. That's why I issued ATMs, helping you create an environment of positivity, all right, and controlling your time, how you're spending your time, because we're all the CEOs of our own lives. You are the CEO of your life, and you are the one that's in control of what happens when you are surrounded by fear. High emotion, low intelligence,
Yeah.
and so you want to bring down the emotion by bringing up the education. Bring down the emotion by having a mentor that can help you see, because they're not emotionally charged. They can step in and help you see the right pathway. And so during these I just released a new course calling Investing in Uncertain Times for that reason, because people were like paralyzed and not what to do. And so I want people to understand every asset category and how when one gets strangled, another one is going to go up.
That's awesome. So how can they get a hold of that? Because I would love to be able to point people to the uncertainty course.
Absolutely. Investing in uncertain time. I love it. I have experts we go into equity markets, we go into building business, intellectual property, gold, silver, Forex, Bitcoin, every aspect of investing, real estate. And it's a 9-session course that is just fantastic with experts from every field. And you can find it again at SharonLechter.com. We literally just finished it, so I'm so proud of it. It's a great
Yeah,
course.
that's awesome, and which is so relevant for today. And I need to send an email out to our clients especially the ones that have reached out, where they're feeling that uncertainty right now in their own business or in their life, because I think having that abundance mentality from the ATM, but then also having someone just walk through, here's the other things you could be doing. I'm sure you give illustrations in there of people going through hard times and like the stories and being able to tell what people have gone through. I'm sure that's in there as well, right?
Absolutely. And each one of my experts, I ask them to answer the question: if I have $100, what can I do with it? If I have 1,000, if I have 10,000, if I have 100,000, what can I do with it? So that
That's awesome.
no matter what amount of money you have, you can take a step and take an action in the right direction.
That is so good, because I love what you say. And you say thoughts, words, actions. And a lot of people get hung up on those thoughts. Those thoughts are stopping them, especially when they're in that fear mentality. And I love what you said on fear, like turn fear into focus, fuel, and faith. That was so good. It's like, and how do you do that? It's like taking those actions. And I love that you just said in this course, it's like, here's some actionable steps, no matter where you are on the sliding scale, or what's the next best thing. Because that's usually, I don't know if you've seen this, Sharon, a lot of people just get frozen and then they don't know what the next best action to take. And it sounds like this course just gives them bottom of the shelf. Here's the next best thing to do wherever you are on that journey.
That's right. Fear either paralyzes us or motivates us. The vast majority of people are paralyzed by fear, and I want to support them in transitioning to being motivated by that fear, because we'll add one more F to that. You have your fear, you turn it into focus, into um, faith, into fruit, all right, because you're taking the right action.
I love everything that we've talked about, but I want to get a little bit more personal with you. If I can just ask this question: you have been involved in so many projects and so many books and so many things over the years. Do you have a favorite that you've either worked on, or that you're like, this is what I would either say this was my best, or like the thing that you enjoyed the most, whether it was producing it or a book or whatever it might be, of course?
Well, usually my responses are, it's like asking who your favorite child is. And even though some of us may have one, we're not going to admit it. But there are certain books that I think are stellar for certain situations.
Hmm.
Certainly when people are in fear and frozen in fear, Outwitting the Devil is the book that I recommend. My most recent book, How Money Works for Women, is incredible a tool for women, because 80% of men die married, 80% of women die single.
Oh,
And
wow.
women still are not taking hold of their own financial lives. And it's very important. So I'm very proud of that book. And then, of course, Rich Dad Poor Dad has impacted millions of people around the world. But I really, I think from a standpoint of um, business entrepreneurs that are at a certain level of success, my book,
Yeah.
Exit Rich, helps you identify how to get your business to the next level. It
Yeah.
is a great starter for the one-on-one mentoring I do to help people take their business 10x, 100x where they want to go.
That makes sense. I loved Exit Rich. So if you have not read that and you're on this podcast, it's on Amazon, it's on her website. It's all over the place, I believe. So go out there. It's
Yeah,
Exit
if you
Rich.
order it from my website, I'll autograph it. So
Oh, even better. So I got to order one from her website because I don't have an autographed one. So I need an autographed one. That's pretty awesome. But that goes over some things I had never even considered before. And just being able to be like, does my business have some of these things? You go through the 6 Ps, and like just being able to have my eyes open to a lot of that. That really helped. I read that several years ago. Someone gave it to me at a mastermind, and it's helped me on that journey. So that's one that's impacted me, along with the other one, Outwitting the Devil, obviously for mindset and the fear. And then obviously
well,
Rich Dad
certainly
Poor Dad.
in your business, David, it helps identify areas people need to focus to get that profit up. So
Exactly. And that's why we're here. And this is what the Profit First REI podcast is all about, because it doesn't matter if you have a business if you don't have profits at the end of the day. A lot of people run the for-profit business and become an accidental nonprofit. And this is where a book like Sharon's helps you make sure you have that profitability. And then the other things that you might not be thinking about. And if you're wondering, what the heck am I talking about? Pick up the book. Like, there were things in there I had not heard of where I'm like, this is so good. And then running my business against those standards, or being sure that we had some of those things in place. So go out there, buy that book. That's a really good one. I highly recommend that. Okay. So we talked about that book, Exit Rich. On that same vein, what do you think about the business owners that want to scale? How do the ones that scale successfully separate themselves from the ones that just scale at all cost with no thought for if there is a bottom line? Like, is there something that they do different than just every other entrepreneur out there?
Well, I think, again, appreciate your validation of Exit Rich. One of the reasons we wrote it is so many people, they scale without building the foundation of their
Mm,
business first.
yep.
And most mentors or salespeople, they don't want to talk about foundational business. They want to talk about the sexy stuff that they find, which is sales, right?
Yep.
Sales or the product branding, all that stuff is fun and it's essential. But your business cannot. Your business can be successful, but in order for it to be sustainable and scalable and eventually saleable, you've got to focus on the foundational elements of the business so that it grows without becoming unstable. And that's really, one of my superpowers, to help people understand how to build that business that has this core strength, like the trunk of the tree, then allows you to explode in a very sustainable and scalable way.
Let me ask you this, Sharon, because I talked with a client recently, one-on-one, and it's a real estate investor. He's doing about 16 to 20 flips a year in his marketplace. He runs a local meetup, and he's been working with our team, and he's realized like he is killing himself doing that many deals because he doesn't have the proper foundation. So he's having to scale back down to about 10 or 12 a year, and he's having trouble with his identity because he runs a local meetup group. He's this guy that does 16 to 20 deals a year, like in his marketplace. Do you see that a lot as well, too, where it might take some going back and humbling yourself a little bit to be like, hey, we got to build the foundation even if we got the cart before the horse?
Sometimes you have to constrict in order to expand. And what I hear, and I don't know this person, but it sounds to me like he owns a job, not a business. Um,
Mm-hmm.
if you truly own a business, it would be no problem scaling to 26 because you got a
Right.
system and you got people running the systems. And it sounds to me like he's still way too involved. His hands are in the process and he's going to get exhausted. I mean, the greatest gift of a fine tuned, well oiled business is you get your time back.
Yeah.
And that's truly, I mean, when the income from your assets exceeds your monthly expenses, that's when you're financially free. The asset is generating the income, not you. Too many of us are taught, most of us are taught to chase income. I teach buy, build, and create assets that generate the incomes. Focus on the asset creation. And that's the one downside of house flipping is the fact that once you do it, you got to do it again. And
Right.
so that model, you need to figure out how can I make that model into an asset? Well, maybe he needs to write a book on how to do it or a system or a coaching model that other people can deliver on his behalf. So that's an asset that comes to him. He creates the business with the right employees so that they can scale and do multiple flips at the same time that do not involve him. Right. So the thing is, how can I become the expert? He's an expert, right? And he
Yeah.
wants to become the authority, but you can't become the authority doing the same thing over and over again. You got to figure out how you evolve to the authority level. And that's creating that expertise in the market.
So what I'm hearing as well is that just because you have a quote unquote business does not necessarily make it an asset. Because if it's like flipping, you might have a business, but it's more of a job, especially if it's just you or if it's you, a spouse team, or like just business partners and you're involved in the day to day, you're not creating necessarily an asset from that. You've created just maybe a high paying job that you're attached to. That's correct assumption there? Assessment?
The first test is to look at your business systems. If your business systems revolve around you, you own a job, not a
Mm.
business. If your business systems can run that business with or without you, that's a business.
Yeah, that's awesome because that's where a real business has the systems and can replace you. And that's what a real asset is, and versus just a business that you create that also turns into just a high paying job. So I think that's very relevant. If you're listening to this and you're like, you're just spinning your wheels in the rat race, this is probably one of the key points that you want to go back and listen to be like, okay, I need to start building a real asset and a real business and not just doing the same thing over and over and over again for the next 20 years and expecting a different result. from
And
your business.
that's how you move from the left side of the cash flow quadrant to the right side.
Yeah.
And so many people think they are business owners, but they're actually S's, which is self-employed.
Yeah.
And that's a job. The left side of the business, you make money because you're there. The right side of the cash flow quadrant as a business owner or investor, your money or your people are working for you. And the difference is assets. Assets are sexy, my favorite word on earth. And that is my superpower. I help people transition from the left side of the cash flow quadrant to the right side. I help business owners who are successful take their business to the next level
Yeah.
by creating additional intellectual property, by creating additional assets. We own a ranch here in Arizona, and we have business mentoring masterminds 2 or 3 times a year where I bring people in for 4 days, 3 nights. And my team, we literally zero in on your business, take you out into the middle of the forest. We talk about it. We deep dive and create a 90-day action plan to transition your business to a higher level functioning system, creating intellectual property, protecting it, and find new revenue streams and new associations that can help you scale in a much bigger way.
Yeah. Well, I love that. So you have an event coming up as well too. And can you talk about that, or like where they can find out about that? Because I'm very interested in going to that one. And I believe you do this. Is it several times a year you said that you do this
Yes. Yeah,
throughout
2
the
or
year?
3
So,
times a year. We own a ranch in the middle of the Tonto National Forest. It's totally off the grid, our own water, our own solar power.
hmm,
And we have horses. We have 500 head of cattle. It's
wow.
300 acres plus 43,000 acres of the national forest that we have grazing rights to. And so it's a complete cowboy experience, cowgirl experience. But we have a small group of business owners that come together, very curated. We have branding experts, we have intellectual property accountability coaches, and myself, where we truly focus on one-on-one sessions with you as well as true mastermind sessions. And it is life-changing. That's the one term everybody that comes is life-changing. Really helps you focus on how to create that bigger, stronger asset that it has a greater impact and a greater profitability. And we have one coming up November 13th through the 16th. But if those days don't work, we have another one in the spring. So reach out to us, info@sharonlechter.com, and our team will reach out to you and talk to you, say, I'm interested in the retreat, and give us your information.
Awesome. So that's info@sharonlechter.com.
Yes.
Awesome. Cool. So that's how you can reach out if you're interested in that. That is more if you want to take your business to the next level and want someone that has seen, I don't know, you've probably seen thousands, if not tens of thousands of businesses at this point and worked either with them or alongside them or coach them, mentorship, plus the books that you've written and touched all those lives. It's like you getting to be with her and with your husband as well goes, and there's other people, and making sure that you're getting that, what is that next step for you. And I love that this is a little bit different. As I was reading the info on this event, it's not the same thing that I keep running into at all these other masterminds. Like, you focus on some of the things you teach on in Exit Rich that I had not heard of before, like going down some of these things that actually make your business an asset, and how can you squeeze as much of the juice from it as possible, and setting it up for success. And I love what you said earlier. Success really is sustainability, and then scaling from that sustainability. And like, this is what you're learning from there if you already are in business. So go to or email info@sharonlechter.com if you're interested in that. We have talked about so many things that you could do with. Do you see that Sharon has literally dedicated her life to help you? Like, if you're listening to this podcast, there is something, if you're struggling with finances, whether it's the mentality, whether it's the actual making of money, the keeping of money, there's something there for you. Sharon, it sounds like they could just go to sharonlechter.com and have a smorgasbord of things that they could look into depending on what they are really needing at that time as well too, correct? If they go to your main website.
Our goal is to support you from wherever you are today to where you feel that degree of success and that momentum to continue moving in the right direction. From somebody who's financially stressed, introductory course, our money mastery course, all the way up to my high level one-on-one mentoring for businesses that want to 10 or 100x their profitability.
Now, see, you have to take advantage of this. I can't believe you're still offering one-on-one mentorship, which is insane to me. Like, I love that you're doing that where you get your hands dirty and you're working with businesses and being able to do that. So if you're like that and you want to go there, that's where they can find all that information at her site, and being able to go there and just, where are you on your journey and what's the next step? Do you need that hands-on where you need someone to kick you in the pants and help you and mentor you through this process? Or are you just getting started? Because she's got a lot of things that can help you where you are. And Sharon, like, I believe that you have helped more people than lots of the people that I've either interviewed or been on this podcast. And I just want to say thank you, number one, for dedicating your life to that, and that you're still doing it. Like, she just came out with that uncertainty course. Like, if you're facing those uncertain times right now, she just built a course for you. If you're feeling that, or that anxiety about the marketplace and things going on, this has been incredible. Thank you, Sharon, for what you're doing in the marketplace, but also what you've done just throughout all the years. This has been a very fun podcast for me. I always enjoy interviewing you just because you've impacted me personally. And to end it here, I just want to say, if you're listening to this and you need someone on your team, like a CFO or someone here in the business side, because you don't know your numbers, you can reach out to us. We're pretty straightforward. We're just a fractional CFO / bookkeeping company helping you get making sure if you're going to make the money, we help you keep it. So you could go to simplecfo.com, but you can also, with everything that Sharon has put out there today, SharonLechter.com. Plus, if you want the ATM thing, because that was, I think, so important what she shared early on, atm.SharonLechter.com. If you want to sign up for those daily boosts of positivity and mentorship right from Sharon, which I think is incredible. Sharon, thank you so much for being a great guest today.
Thank you, David. You're delightful, and I appreciate your audience being here to listen. Reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you.
This episode of the Profit First for REI podcast is over, but there are plenty more where that came from. Are you ready to learn how David and his team can help implement the Profit First system in your business? Schedule a discovery call at simplecfo.com right now. We'll see you next time on the Profit First for REI podcast with David Richter.